Hi guys, welcome again to my channel. In this channel, you will get to know a lot of information about how to crack international tests such as IELTS, SAT, GRE, GMAT. So today's a session wherein I'll be talking or I'll be emphasizing more on round 3 questions in IELTS speaking. So round 3. So in speaking, we have round 1, round 2, and round 3. And in today's session, specifically, I'll be focusing and emphasizing more on round 3 questions in speaking. So before we get deeper into the details, a question paper मैं screen पे share कर रही हूँ, and you can have a look. So this is the question paper that I'm sharing with you. Yes. So these are round 3 questions. I will be doing videos on round 1 and round 2, how to tackle, how to work on, how to start your answer for round 1 and round 2. But in today's video, we'll focus and emphasize more on round 3. So if you look at the round 3 questions, see, the basic difference between round 1, round 2, and round 3 is that round 1, you have straight and simple, straightforward questions. So the answers also have to be extremely crisp and short. When it comes to your round 2, you have a situation given and you have a couple of questions. So you get a minute's time to prepare your notes and then, you start your talk. But round 3 is slightly, you can say, challenging in terms of the type of questions. Round 3 is an extremely demanding round. Why? क्योंकि राउंड 3 वाले जो क्वेश्चंस होते हैं ना, वो उतने सिंपल और स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड नहीं होते कि आपने बस क्वेश्चन दे दिया और आपने बस आंसर दे दिया और चले आए. It's not like that. I always say that when it comes to your round 3, the questions are challenging. The questions demand a lot of critical thinking. The questions demand a lot of argumentative skill in you. So let us first understand that what is the kind of questions or what are the kinds of questions which are asked in round 3 in speaking. So यहाँ पे अगर आप देखोगे, if you can see, when do people? So they are asking you to suggest. Okay? Suggest, when do people like to read the newspaper? So when you're suggesting, okay, you have to suggest different types of people and their different feasible timings for reading the newspaper. Now the question arises कि answer इसको कैसे करना है? कि उन्होंने पूछा है कि when do people like to read the newspaper? Is it that we are just supposed to say that, see, my grandfather, he, or we can say elderly people, they like to read the newspaper in the mornings with their cup of tea. Millennials or working individuals, they like to read the newspaper when they are traveling. There are people who like to read the newspaper, when they go to bed. Is it only that? Are we going to restrict our answer to only that? या फिर और थोड़ा बताना है? तो मुझे आपको यहाँ पे ये जानकारी देनी है that if you are looking out for more than band 7 in your IELTS speaking, if you are looking out for more than band 7 in your IELTS speaking, remember, you also have to give the reason and substantiate with the help of evidence. कि आपने खाली ये नहीं बताना है कि elderly people, they read the newspaper in the mornings. You have to say why. ऐसा क्यों है कि elderly people, they are interested in reading the newspaper right in the morning with their cup of tea or coffee. Why? Because probably, they have this idea that they should be having, or they should be aware about what is happening around them right at the start of the day. And then probably you can give an example. So when you're giving an example, you can give a personal example, you can give a specific example, you can even give a statistical example. So speaking में बहुत लोगों को ये पता नहीं होता है कि खाली if you just give the answer and come, that's not sufficient. Okay? So looking at this, how important is it for people to have a choice of newspaper? So यहाँ पे अगर आप खाली बताओगे कि yeah, there are different types of people who are having different choices of newspaper, है ना? जैसे कि I personally am more inclined to those newspaper which has a lot of news on education. Educational institutions, different subjects of study, different specialization courses on university. ठीक है, but then mention why. ऐसा क्यों है? Why? Because मेरी profession जो है, that is related to education, and then probably I can give an evidence. There are people who are interested or who choose to read newspapers that that emphasize more on political news, because they are politically inclined. Unka interest hai politics mein, right? There are many people who are more interested in newspapers which highlight a lot of news on economy, because probably their subject of study is economics, or probably they are an enthusiast who wants to have all the information about the current topics or current updates in the field of economics. So what am I doing? I'm not only saying ki dekho, it is important or it is significant to have a choice of newspaper, right? I'm also saying ki there are certain people who like a newspaper that is highlighting politics. There are certain people who like a newspaper that is highlighting film industry, and I'm mentioning why. And at the same time, it would be amazing if you can also give an evidence for every point that you're giving. Okay, so remember, if you're looking out for more than band 7 in your IELTS speaking, be it academic or your general training, if you just give the answer, it won't help. You also have to elaborate or extend little bit on each point, and if possible, substantiate that with relevant example. This is one thing. Second thing, which is very important, is do not repeat the same words from the question. Like if I can give you an example, how important is it for people to have a choice of newspaper? आधे से ज्यादा जनता को लगता है कि if they have to answer वो ऐसे start करेंगे. It is very important for people to have a choice of newspaper. No, not at all. Do not repeat the same words from the question. Why? Because unless you are paraphrasing the question, unless you're showing your expertise कि आपको भी दूसरे words पता है, how will you be getting good scores? Because this exam is all about words. It's all about variety in content, words, and sentence construction. So अगर आपको band 7 से ज़्यादा चाहिए IELTS speaking में, you have to remember there has to be variety in content, there has to be variety in the words that you're using, and definitely there has to be variety in sentence constructions. Just say, for example, how important is it for people to have a choice of newspaper? Maybe you can start, it is absolutely critical. So we are replacing the word important with absolutely critical. बहुत ज़रूरी है. या तो फिर it is extremely eminent, it is extremely significant, it is extremely beneficial भी आप दे सकते हो कभी कभी. ठीक है, यहाँ पे उन्होंने बोला है choice of newspaper, so maybe you can say preferences, right? So the whole idea is that in round 3 of your IELTS speaking, variety in content, variety in words, and variety in sentence constructions is very much needed to get more than band 7 in your IELTS speaking. Do not repeat the same words from the question. Try to give different, distinct points. अलग-अलग तरह के points देने की कोशिश करो. जैसे मैंने दिया सेकंड वाले क्वेश्चन के लिए, मैंने बताया कि कुछ लोग हैं जो पॉलिटिकली इंक्लाइंड है, तो उनको ऐसा न्यूज़पेपर पसंद है जिसमें पॉलिटिक्स के बारे में ज्यादा लिखा हुआ होता है, राइट? कुछ लोग हैं जिनको फिल्म इंडस्ट्री के बारे में जानकारी बहुत पसंद है, तो वो वैसे न्यूज़पेपर लेते हैं जहां पे पेज 3 में बहुत कुछ लिखा हुआ होता है. Give an example and evidence if you have, right? So this was a question which was asking you to explain. So इससे पहले हमने देखा suggestion, then we are seeing explanation. What does a good newspaper contain? Again, उन्होंने पूछा है कि what does a good newspaper contain? मतलब एक good newspaper में क्या क्या चीजें होनी चाहिए, क्या क्या होनी चाहिए. न्यूज़पेपर लोग पढ़ते क्यों है? To get news, to collect information, to gather details and data about so many topics, right? तो एक तो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट चीज जो है कि वो न्यूज़पेपर ट्रस्टवर्दी होनी चाहिए. The articles which are being published in the newspaper have to be trustworthy, have to be well authenticated, have to be well researched. जो भी data, जो भी details को publish करता है, that has to be well authenticated and well researched, right? And then probably, and why do you think that it has to be authenticated? Why do you think that it has to be well researched? Because अगर proper research नहीं करी जाएगी, then the information that they'll be providing would be misleading. सो सी, मैंने पहले बोला कि एक गुड न्यूज़पेपर में ऑथेंटिकेटेड एंड वेल रिसर्च्ड इंफॉर्मेशन होनी चाहिए, as or otherwise it would mislead or misguide the readers or viewers. So मैंने बताया कि क्या होनी चाहिए, और मैंने ये भी बताया कि क्यों ऐसा होना चाहिए, या क्यों ऐसा हो, क्यों एक अच्छे न्यूज़पेपर में वेल रिसर्च्ड इंफॉर्मेशन होनी चाहिए. एंड देन इफ यू वांट यू कैन गिव एन एग्जांपल स्टैटिस्टिकल दे सकते हो, स्पेसिफिक दे सकते हो, कभी कभी पर्सनल भी दे सकते हो. So the whole idea is that do not leave your answer just as it is. आंसर को डिवाइड द आंसर इनटू डिफरेंट सेगमेंट्स, डिवाइड द आंसर इनटू डिफरेंट पॉइंट्स. हर एक पॉइंट के लिए थोड़ा सा एक्सप्लेन करो क्यों ऐसा है या क्यों ऐसा नहीं है. एंड देन इफ यू हैव एन एग्जांपल या एविडेंस यू कैन जस्ट गिव दैट, राइट? ओके, सो why do some people choose to read the news on the internet rather than in a newspaper? All right, so what is this question asking you? To give reasons. So again, just don't give the reason. थोड़ा explain करो. अगर एविडेंस है तो थोड़ा एविडेंस दो. नाउ द पॉइंट इज यू डोंट हैव सो मच ऑफ टाइम इन योर राउंड 3. सो ज्यादा एक्सप्लेन करने की जरूरत नहीं है, बट एटलीस्ट अगर 2 पॉइंट्स देते हो एक क्वेश्चन के लिए राउंड 3 में, तो एक पॉइंट के लिए थोड़ा सा एक्सप्लेन कर दो, एविडेंस दे दो. दूसरे पॉइंट के लिए मे बी थोड़ा एक्सप्लेन करके अगर एविडेंस नहीं है तो भी चलेगा. ठीक है? सो दैट्स द होल आइडिया. सो इन राउंड 3 ऑलवेज रिमेंबर there has to be variety in content, there has to be variety in words, and there definitely has to be variety in sentence construction. So if you are looking out for more than band 7 in your IELTS speaking, do not forget to give variety in your content, variety in your words, and variety in your sentence construction. हर मुद्दे के ऊपर हर पॉइंट को थोड़ा सा एक्सप्लेन करो. अगर एग्जाम्पल है तो गिव इट दैट. ठीक है? थैंक यू एंड स्टे ट्यून्ड फॉर द अपकमिंग वीडियोस.